Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and share the hell out of the video. It helps me out a lot. I've been thinking about movies and my love for movies. And the movies that kicked me off as a filmmaker were Rocky and Superman. When I saw those movies, that just created a love of storytelling and that I still have today. I mean, I fell in love with movies. I fell in love with everything about it. The theater, the smell of the popcorn, seeing the posters in the marquee outside of the theater. I just love it, and I still do. So for me, the best movies were in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And the reason I say that is because the movies then didn't push a political agenda or an ideology on you. It was just, look, leave me alone with that shit. I just want to enjoy my movie. I just want to enjoy the movie. And movies today are just not like they were back in the 80s and the 90s. They didn't have all the junk that's in them now. It was just pure entertainment. It was pure entertainment and love for film and cinema. What I also liked about the movies back then is, not everything was a superhero movie, and they focused on a story, not special effects. That makes me nuts. Everything is special effects in superhero movies today. And back then, all of those movies had an iconic moment in them that you still talk about today, that's still recognizable today.
For example, who remembers John Cusack holding up the boombox outside of his girlfriend's house in Say Anything? And what about Raiders of the Lost Ark, when Indiana Jones pulls out his gun and shoots that man wielding the sword rather than fight him? How about Rocky? Who can forget him? Running up the steps of the art museum, drinking all those eggs, running down the Italian market. How about Poltergeist? Run to the light, Carol Ann, run to the light. This house is clean.
Who remembers The Last American Virgin? Who remembers that movie? I remember that movie. I remember that movie. I remember my boy was heartbroken at the end. That girl did to him. Can you tell I had my heart ripped out just as well?
Some of the most popular films back then: E.T., Ghostbusters, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club, Back to the Future, Top Gun, Karate Kid, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Scarface, Full Metal Jacket, St. Elmo's Fire, Terminator, Blade Runner, Footloose, and Poltergeist.
So this used to be the Riverview United Artists Theater. How many afternoons and nights I've spent in this theater watching some great movies. But for some reason, South Philly can't hold on to movie theaters. Going all the way back to the Colonial, which was a classic movie theater. It was really nothing special. It was like sticky floors and stuff, but it's just something that you remember as a resident of South Philly. There was a bunch of theaters. We always had a movie theater, but they never seemed to last, including this one. This was the last one in South Philly. And I used to have a job where I was off every Friday. So I would work Monday to Thursday, 10-hour days. And every Friday in the summer, I would go to a matinee at this theater. And it was great. I used to be just by myself, enjoying my love of cinema and film. It was great. And unfortunately, this whole complex is now nothing. It's just empty, as you could see. So the 2000s had some good movies too, in the early 2000s. I think my favorite movie in the 2000s has to be, without a doubt, Tombstone. That movie was incredible. I own it, but I still watch it every time it comes on. Val Kilmer, I'm sorry, stole that movie away from everybody. Everybody was wonderful in it, but Val Kilmer, man, just when I think of that movie, I think of Val Kilmer. His portrayal of Doc Holliday was beautiful. Remember back when the movies were big in the 80s and stuff, and the big summer movies were coming out, and they would start to advertise them on TV, and you'd have places like Burger King and McDonald's running advertisements. I remember specifically Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and I remember the Millennium Falcon going through the asteroid field, dodging all the asteroids, and they'll advertise their Empire Strikes Back glass that you can have your Coca-Cola in. And, you know, I know it's stupid, but when I would see those commercials, I would get so pumped up for the movie. I guess it did its job, but they were always on. It was like Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons. They would just blast the TV with that. And I couldn't wait to just see previews. I love the previews. A lot of people don't like previews in the movie theater. I love it. I love the whole thing when you go to the movie theater. It's not just the movie. I like smelling the popcorn. I like the atmosphere, the posters. I like the previews. I'll sit through half-hour previews. I love it. So Superman, yeah, when I saw that movie, that just did something to me. What an experience. I can vividly remember it like it was yesterday. My father took me to see it at the Colonial Theater. Even though it wasn't the high-end theater, I sat there and I remember sitting there with my father leaning over to me, asking me if I was okay, because I was so quiet. I fell into that movie like, can't explain it, guys. To this day, it inspires me to make movies. I go right back to that like it was yesterday. Seeing him flying around on the screen. And back then, the special effects were groundbreaking. They were like, wow, this dude's flying, man. I mean, that's incredible. It was magic. It was magic. And that film set me on my journey for the love of cinema and telling stories. And back then, they got it right, I believe, too, because even though they were able to do some special effects now where people were flying, they still stuck to a story. It was story-based. They were telling you a story throughout the whole movie, and the special effects were an aid to tell the story. It wasn't a special effects story. Like, they got it back then, you know? They got it. They got it. The story. They got into people's heads and took them away from reality for just a little bit. And that's what I try to do with these little videos that I do. I just try to take you guys away from craziness that's in this world right now. Just for a few minutes, maybe. So, yo, guys, do you have a movie that you're embarrassed to say that you enjoy, that you like? I do. Mine, hands down, is Xanadu with Olivia Newton-John. Now, okay, it had a lot to do with Olivia Newton-John. I had a huge crush on Olivia Newton-John. But that movie was, see, I lived on a little street in South Philly called Wilder Street, and we didn't have cable yet. That was the other side of Broad Street. They had cable. We didn't have cable yet. And they came out with a wireless cable system where you put an antenna on the roof and you'd be able to watch movies. And it was called Pay TV. That was it. It was it was a box with an on and off switch. You couldn't even change channels. You just turned it on at 8 o'clock or in the afternoon on Saturdays, and whatever movie was playing, that's what was playing, and then it shut off at midnight or something. And then you turned the box off. There was no remote. There was nothing like that. And Pay TV was the first movie that I saw. The Pay TV the first movie I saw on Pay TV was Xanadu, and it was at my grandfather's house across the street. What do you guys think? What's your favorite movies of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s? What is the movie that really sticks with you, that you love to this day? I'd love to know. Put it in the comments. Let's start a conversation about it. I love talking to you guys. You know that. So any questions or anything, just throw them in the comments and we will chat, guys. Until next time, I will see you later and then try to enjoy some movies.